Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the individual speakers, commentators, guests, experts, and our hosts. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the network, broadcaster, channel, and/or program's policy or the views held by this network, broadcaster, channel, or program. The network, broadcaster, channel, or program cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Fem Talk Tuesday, and we are glad that you are here. So let's bring in Dr. Melissa Simmons. Oh, 1 minute. So anyway, we have a great show for you all tonight. Unfortunately, our beautiful She Talks is not here with us this evening, and we're going to miss her. We love her, so we're sending her and her family love. Let me see if I can do this right. You can see the heart, right? Make sure my
see your heart.
But to She, we love you, and we are here to support you here on Fem Talk. So we have absolutely. We have a great show for you this evening, but before we get started on the show, we have Ask Fem Talk. All right. Hello. So this question actually is from our amazing producer, Nicholas Simmons. He says, I need to follow up on last week's episode on turning down meat. I'm struggling feeling satisfied and full after not eating meat. What can I do to maintain this lifestyle? I love this question because I know it's hard when it comes to turning down meat, right? Because meat is definitely fulfilling when it comes to satiating us, right? And making sure that we are completely satisfied in terms of feeling full enough, that we've had enough food. However, Nick, there are some things that you can do that are going to allow you to still feel satiated. So one thing I like to tell people, which helps to satisfy you and also gives you great energy, is the good carbs. Now, I'm a quinoa girl. I love quinoa. I actually today saying I'm hungry. I understand. I actually today though I ordered this power bowl from a place called First Watch. Give a shout out to First Watch because I know it's across the country, in some places across the country. But they had this power bowl. Now they had Italian sausage in this bowl, right? But of course I altered it because I didn't want the sausage. So I had them take the sausage out, but it was quinoa and it had mushrooms and roasted tomatoes and kale and onions. It was so good. So the quinoa though is the piece that helps me get what keeps me satiated and helps me get full without feeling like, oh, I needed to have meat in that bowl. So that's a great
a grain. So you're saying add a grain to it.
Add a grain. Yes. Add a good grain though. Quinoa, brown rice, sourdough. You can do like a sourdough bread or maybe like some sprouted grain breads if you want to. You can also do, if you want a good healthy carb, right? Sweet potatoes are another go-to for me. And you can also do sweet potatoes that are going to help keep you satiated. You can also do white potatoes or yellow potatoes, right? There's nothing wrong with potatoes. It's what we usually put in the potatoes that makes it bad for us. But the potatoes,
a loaded potato is the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Not a loaded potato, but you can eat potatoes that are also going to help you stay satiated. So you can get, you're full, right, off of other items. And then, load yourself with a lot of vegetables, right? That can help you get full. Now, vegetables, right, because they digest easier, they may not last as long as the grains. The grains are going to sit in your digestive system a little bit longer. The grains are meant to give you a lot of energy too. So you want to incorporate good grains. I know people always say, like, oh, no carbohydrates. Not true at all. And you actually need carbohydrates to keep your energy levels up.
Right. You need something to take over the energy levels that you need to maintain all day.
But even if you're eating meat, I want to say this too. Like even if you're eating meat, because people always say, "Oh, no carbs." That's not true. There are good. You just need good carbs. You need the right carbs that are going to help increase your energy and not deplete your energy. So carbs are a good way if you're not eating meat. And then get in some lentils, get in some like peas or things that are high in protein, vegetables that are high in protein that are going to help to keep you satiated as well.
One of the things I recommended good and they have a lot more than they had in the past. Good healthy fast food options. I think today I recommended Kava, and they have a nice selection of different veggies and non-meat options. I love Kava.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the falafel
Yeah.
is not bad. I like
Yeah.
the taste of it. I actually made some veggie soup.
Mm-hmm.
Very fulfilling. I do a really nice um, why did I chickpea soup? I do a
Mm-hmm.
really good chickpea soup with no you would think something milky is in there. There's no milk in my soup, but it's very thick. And I add kale, all the good veggies that you put in soup, onions, garlic, celery, carrots,
So
and
I think you need to make that for a certain person when she comes to your house.
I have a container ready for him. So I have that. I think it's really finding, especially especially when you start. I think it's really investing time into finding good recipes that you can really make of yourself, make yourself,
Mhm.
and then add your own stuff to it. Like you said, potatoes is always a nice go-to. I love good grain in terms of I love my brown rice. I love rice and beans, stewing up a nice bean soup.
Mhm.
I know he really loves lima beans, and a good way to do that, you can bring all those tastes out without using what we are known to do. And when we do veggies back in
Mhm.
the way we do them, you use a piece of pork or even turkey, smoked turkey.
Mhm.
The biggest trick to take that all the way is smoked paprika,
Mm.
or some liquid smoke. If you add those two ingredients to your beans and your peas and stuff, you would think you had a piece of pork sitting in there, a smoked turkey. And
Yes.
I've learned how to do that. So I think it's just learning good recipes to kind
Yeah.
of help you get through that.
Yeah, but as far as you mentioned something else that I didn't say, right? The chickpeas. Chickpeas are a great way to satisfy you. Hummus, right? If you just do
Hummus,
it in the
make your
form of
own
hummus,
hummus.
but the chickpeas are a great way, and they are very high in protein. So you're getting just as much protein as you would get in meat. You're going to get from those
Mhm.
chickpeas. So that's a great way to keep yourself
Right.
satisfied if you like chickpeas. And chickpeas, actually, you can trick yourself with chickpeas because they take on flavor, whatever flavor you add to them, they take on that flavor. I used to go to this place in New Jersey when I still lived there pre-COVID, and they did this chickpea tuna. It was absolutely delicious, and I thought I was eating tuna, and I wasn't. It was
Yeah.
chickpeas. So there's so
Chickpeas.
many ways to, yeah,
It's so hearty and it's so tasteful. When I make my
yeah.
chickpea soup, I do a combo of blended
Hmm.
and the full chickpea, and that's what creates the meatiness, so
Mm.
to speak, to the soup.
Hmm.
And it's just so good. So there's just I just think it's just really finding some good recipes and do everything in I won't say in moderation, but take your time. If you don't get work at it's all about going to the supermarket, buying everything you need so that you're not kind of forced. Yeah, the Fem Talk
I like
cookbook.
that. I
Nick,
like
I need a
that.
ham bone. No ham bone. We're gonna get you through it.
No,
A
no
good
ham.
pizza. Make if you can make a nice pizza with no cheese, because I know you can't do the cheese, but you do like a Mediterranean cheese. Nick, you know what I'm talking about because you made one for me and use
Mhm.
a falafel. as the bread, and it really can work, and that's very fulfilling. Nice
Absolutely.
a grilled garlic pizza, oh, with some grilled veggies. I'm already getting happy. So there are options, huh, son? Options, options.
There are options. So, listen, we wanted to actually talk about what's coming next for Fem Talk. We're starting a Fem Talk book club. And our very first book is Radical Candor. And I'm going to show you the actual book a little bit later on in the show because it's not right here, right by me at the moment, but we'll bring that up again later on. We want to make sure that if you are interested in reading with us, go get the book Radical Candor. You can find it right on Amazon, and we can put the Amazon link on the show page for you so that you can join us and join in the conversation when we start to discuss the book.
Absolutely. I love it. I'm excited because I love it's a book that our producer Nick recommended. Is really strong on leadership and just how to go about, being honest, but being effectively honest. You know what I'm saying, and knowing how to connect. So I'm excited about reading it. I'm excited about learning more. That in terms of what we can share and really help people come through in regards to their leadership and really doing things differently. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. Can't wait. Can't
And
wait.
I think this is a great time too, right? Because we're at, the last quarter of 2024 and people are
Mhm.
usually at this time getting geared up on, things that they want to do in 2025, how they want to make
Yeah.
changes. Maybe they're starting a business, maybe they want
There
to move
you
up
go.
in their careers, maybe they want to change their relationships, right? Because radical candor could be about anything. So, want to make sure that we're helping you prepare for 2025. As we go into 2025, this will be a great way to do that, to read this book with us.
For sure. For sure. I'm gonna make sure I tell all my girl bosses to come on and join us on this one because I think one thing I know for sure, for certain, is the more we learn how to tap into our superpowers internally, we can become so much better externally. So I think I can't wait to get into the book. It's going to be so exciting. Yay!
Absolutely. Absolutely. All
Yes.
right. So you know what time it is now.
Ta, 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 ta.
Hot, hot, hot. All right. So we have Tia and Tamara Mowry, you guys. You
I was
remember.
kind of disappointed on this one. I love my sister,
Look,
sister.
look, take it away, Dr. Melissa. You take it away.
I love my sister, Tia Tamara, and post divorce, Tia has come in. She does her own reality show. She was doing a lot on her own. They always had their own style.
Mm-hmm.
Tia had her own TV talk show, and Tamara was on a talk show. So they always did their things differently. But unfortunately, Tia has shared that during this process, that her and her sister have not been close.
Mm-hmm.
She said, it takes like, it's times like this. I wish I could pick up the phone and call my sister, but we are not in in the place. And it sounds like they distanced themselves because now she's not married and Tamara is with, they both have children. So I would think you would still want the cousins to get together and, grow their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But it does seem like they've kind of pulled apart. And it is sad that she is. One thing I will say about Tia, she seems to be, every once in a while, depending on where I see her, if it's on Insta or TikTok or just a clip of Tia, I always get kind of oversharing kind of feeling, like she made a real push to get out there after the divorce, and maybe her sister didn't like jive with that. Yeah, I know for me, I was like, I don't think you need to share all that you're sharing, or you don't need to come off as trying to be the superwoman. Divorce is hard, and it is not. You don't bounce. You don't still bounce from divorce. I think one of the biggest um, mistakes or realities about divorce is that all the stuff you tried to do during your marriage, about you know, it's all 50-50. It's like we work together, you do this, I do that, all that stuff that you're supposed to do during divorce, I mean during marriage. You're forced to do it when you get divorced, especially when you go to court and everything is split down the middle, everything is shared, everything, all that stuff you used to fight about, now courts got you going doing this, and it becomes hard to navigate. And it's not something a lot of people easily get over. So I think understanding that is important for, I think, both of them, and being there for each other. I don't
I,
know.
I have mixed views on a few things, right? Of course, I've never been married, so I can't talk about even the thought of getting divorced because I haven't been married. But when you think about her just being, this child star to adult star, I think she was sharing, this is my own opinion, right? But I think she was sharing just to really control the narrative, right?
Yeah,
Because otherwise, other people tell your story for you.
this is
And it's
true.
not necessarily from the best perspective. So
This
I
is
feel
true.
like she wanted to get in front of it all because we don't know how long they were going through whatever happened in their marriage, right?
Hmm.
So, there was probably a lot of speculation. So I feel like she just figured, well, you know what? I'm already in the limelight. I'm already doing all these reels and videos. I'm just going to go on here and talk about, how I'm feeling and what's happening to a
Yeah.
certain extent because she's like, I got to control this narrative so that nobody else is speaking for me. So I kind of, for me, I was like, I respect it, right? Because she's just putting it out there and saying, you know what, I'm already in the limelight. So people are already going to talk about me. So let me just go ahead and do it myself.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do
true.
feel like if her sister didn't jive with it, those are personal and private conversations that they should have had together. But I also feel like, and I don't know why they're not as close as they were before, but I feel like, you shouldn't let anything, unless something happened between the two of them, right? Not necessarily Tia's marriage or anything with Tamara's marriage, just the two of them doing something, one doing something to the other, then that's a different story, right? But if it's just because life changes on you, well, then you should be there. I feel you should be there to support your sister,
Yeah,
right?
I
No
totally
matter what.
agree. I have two sisters, and we're not always. We live in now 3 different states,
Mhm.
so it is not easy to stay connected. But one thing I must say, when we need each other, we're there.
Mhm.
When we pick up, when we decide to pick up the phone, we get on the phone. If there's anything, and one of the things I love about our relationship is that regardless of what happens, we have stayed together.
Mhm.
So, as our parents, got sick, as our parents passed on, as we had to deal with their estate, we never, and I say I'm so grateful for this, we never pulled apart from each other.
Yeah.
So at any moment you could, because you don't, when you have a sister, it's a sister.
Yeah.
And do I have best friends? Sure. I have, I have you guys. I have, of course, I have girlfriends that I love to be with, and they have the same. But your sister's your sister,
Yeah.
and it's that relationship. That what, I could call on my sister if I need something, and you just have it. And it's funny thing is, I think because they're twins, there was an assumption it was always close. But I remember I used to watch. I think when Tamara got married, she had a whole, they were on reality TV during that time. And they really were never this, I don't know, maybe as young when they were younger, they was like twins are. But
Mhm.
I remember during the wedding, that whole thing they did live, or that reality show they had, they wasn't close even then. There was
Mhm.
signs that they weren't as close as people thought they were.
Mhm.
That typical twin relationship. And I have twins in my family, and twin relationships are real. When I'm telling you, they're together, they're together. And it's sad to see that this twin relationship is not as strong as you've seen twins out there. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Because twin relationships, there's this uncanny bond that they have. And and you hear people talk about it, but when you see it up close, and I've seen it up close, they are really, they almost think alike.
Mhm.
They live alike. Sometimes I remember the twins in our family. I remember one of them got sick and the other one was just as sick. And we was like, you don't have the same thing. Well, I feel sick. They were sick. They were literally sick together. And that's how they kind of vibe. There's this interesting vibe they have. And it was kind of sad to see that they don't have this.
Mm.
or was losing it, and now it seems like they really pull apart. But you know what? I'm a believer in family, and hopefully, they come back together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then listen, life happens and kids happen and marriages
Yeah.
happen and right. So, things happen in people's relationships, but hopefully, yeah, they will come back together and they will be as close as we thought they were once were
Right,
before,
right. We
right?
thought they once was. So hopefully, we're still believing in you, T and Tamara. Hopefully, you get it. You get back together and kind of
Absolutely.
rebuild the relationship.
Absolutely. So, tonight, our topic for tonight is surviving the sports
Ah,
season.
sports season.
So, as you all know, on this show, Dr. Melissa is she's our sports commentator for Fem Talk. We're just going to say that. I think she's the one who follows sports more than the other two of us. So, why don't you kick this off for us, Dr.
For
Melissa?
sure, I am. And I do not consider myself a guru at all. I guess I watch now. I am that person that, and one of the things I learned about sports and being in a sports family, if you can't beat them, join them. And my husband, this season, this October season right now is seen as the best sports month ever.
Mm.
October. Why October? October, this month, every sport you can think of is active. When I say you have WNBA, the Women's Basketball League, WNBA, they're in their finals. The finals have been the most watched ever. They are exciting. As a matter of fact, I believe they're playing today. Come on, Liberty. Anyway, so you have that. The NBA has started all of their preseason games. If you watch football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Sunday all day football. Football is coming out of everybody's ears. Football is happening. And the season is unlike no other. Then you have the Major League Baseball. Now, I believe it or not, my favorite sport is baseball. The Major
Really?
League Baseball, yes, they are having their the National and American League are having their championship games. And guess what? There may be, cross fingers, another Subway Series because the Mets and the
Yeah.
Yankees are both going for the title. So if
Yeah.
they both win, we have another New York Subway Series.
Yeah.
And guess what? Hockey, National Hockey League is active right now. So if you're a sports guru, you are kind of losing your mind because every day you could do something, you can see something. It's just excitement, all the time. So right now it's like nirvana for that sports person. I won't say yes, it's overstimulation for
Right.
sure. For sure. And in one of the things I had to laugh at my husband last night because he was like, just clicking the TV. I said, Lamont, you just got to stop. He had on football.
You're trying to watch it all.
He went to the other TV and put on the Mets playing. I said, you can't watch them all. He says, yes, I can. On the phone, he had another game on. Well, I was like, okay, enough is enough. And he just went on. It is a lot of stimulation.
Yeah, I know my cousin. Give him a shout out to Marcel here, but he lives here in Charlotte. But his house, he's got this. He doesn't really call it a man cave, but he's got 5 televisions
Oh my gosh.
in this. Yeah, so he could watch everything at
Everything.
one time, and he's got his bar laid out there. But it's very cool space. But he's got 5 TVs. I get so confused. I'm like,
Wow.
I don't know what to watch really because there's so
I
much
know. It's
going
just
on
too
at one
much.
time.
And I saw this, Tracy, you will love this. I saw this article about a husband giving his wife. It's I guess it's the decree or their sports, their sports season agreement.
Mhm.
And honey, football is starting, and I just wanted to give our agreement. You will not be able to find me on Sundays, on Thursdays, and on Monday nights. I'll be busy watching sports. I'm sorry, you have, do what you need to do between the months of September to February, but I won't be around on those days. After the season, once the season ends, then I'll be back. Love you, miss you, goodbye. And kind of just like that was it.
Ooh, so wait, before we get into this, because that's a great segue into what we want to talk about next. But let's take a quick commercial break. But I want everybody to think about, how you manage that. Because now you heard it, this husband giving his wife this letter to say that he's not going to be around. How do you manage relationships with sports? Yeah, so let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, and we are back. So before we go back into our topic, I wanted to show you the book, Radical Candor. So this may look a little bit different from what you see. There's a few of them, but I got the revised edition. I got the updated version here, but it's the same book. All right, make sure that you get either this version or the other one, and make sure that you join us in reading this book. So here it goes, Radical Candor, everybody.
Yay!
Yes.
Join the book club. Yes, yes, yes.
Absolutely. So listen, before we went to our commercial break, we were talking about sports, and Dr. Melissa mentioned a letter that a husband wrote his wife to say that she basically would not see him from September to February during football season on those Thursdays and Sundays. And what's the other one? Saturdays too? Saturdays too.
Well, if you like college
football, right?
It is from Thursday all the way to Monday night. So, hey, you have football mania.
Absolutely.
And I think it's, when I really think about all the sports that is happening now, it is quite amazing. And one of my bestie, she can't stand sports, and her husband is a football fanatic. Same thing, loves sports, and she's like, I can't be bothered. And I think, one of the things I have to admit, one of the things my husband, when he met me, loved about me was I understood sports. So I was able to always sit in the room with the guys and talk sports, and usually embarrass them a little bit because, I would know the game. So I would be able to watch the game and say, oh, that's a this or that's a that. So he was impressed with that. So I think that was part of the attraction that I couldn't talk sports. But I am not that, and no, let me not say that. I had to calm down my love of sports because for me, it just became too much. And I do believe you could go, because honestly, we did find out we're very competitive. Mm-hmm. So we loved the process. I was literally, almost like having a heart attack when I remember when I remember it, like in the back of my mind when the Yankees were in the World Series, and I'm watching the games, and it was Mariano, and it was I just lost my mind. And I said, Melissa, if you have a heart attack and die, these people will go on with their lives and won't know your name at all. So calm yourself down. So I took a step back from my love of sports just to be able to have some peace of mind. and be able to kind of like not take it so seriously. And I think a lot of times it is taken a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
That letter, that poor woman whose husband wrote the letter, I think, I have kind of adopted if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing, because like, am I really gonna not be talking to my husband for 5 months? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he's serious. He starts, like I said, Thursday he starts watching it. He loves college football, so he'll watch it on Friday nights and on Saturdays. And then here comes the NFL on Sundays. Now they have games in London. They
Mm-hmm.
have, so now you can wake up at 8:30 in the morning and put on the game.
Yeah.
Okay. So now 8:30 all the way to 11 p.m. If not later, you are watching football all day long. And then you get Monday nights.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one of the things I did, and this is and this is what I recommend. I think you have to. It's like anything any couple would be involved in, right, Tracy? If you're really into something, well, it doesn't have to be a sport. Say you're really into cooking, then invite your mate to cook with you sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're involved in sports, you invite your mate to and get involved. You take your mate to the couple of games with you. One of the things that a lot of people begin to enjoy, especially women, is when they go to a game, it's totally different. And
Yeah.
the atmosphere going to a game is fun and it's enjoyable. And that's one opportunity to become involved, is become active in it. Go to a game, go see a game. I went to a hockey game once. I thought in my wildest days, who wants to go to a hockey game? When I tell you that was a fun thing to do, is actually go and watch a hockey game. You
Yeah.
wouldn't think so because you see it on TV, but going to live sporting events really does pique your interest. So I would
Yeah.
recommend, definitely, if you can't beat them, join them. So to this day, my husband says his best gift ever was when I bought him tickets to go see the Steelers play in Pittsburgh. To this
Mm-hmm.
day, that's one of his favorite gifts of all time. Again, if they love it, they love it. But if you could go and watch a game live with them, hey, do something like that.
I absolutely agree with you that you have to, like, I'm not like the person that, oh, I'm following all the sports and I know all the players, and I will get into everything during like playoff times, that type of thing. But I do agree with, you know what? Sometimes you have to go sit down and watch a game with your mate, right? With your significant other, your husband, whatever it is for you. But in that relationship, sometimes you have to engage in what the other person likes, right? And
Yeah,
sometimes I might be annoying because I may be asking questions if it's a sport that I don't know about. Now you get me in there with basketball and we can go toe to toe for the basketball. But for football, sometimes, I know a lot, but not as much as I probably should when it comes to
right,
football. So I may ask some questions. So, you have to have patience with your mate too if that person is asking questions because they're trying to engage with you with what you love, right? So,
exactly.
you think about it that way. But I agree with you too, to take your person, your significant other, to a live game. I can tell you, I do not like watching baseball on television. But when you go to a baseball game live,
What?
it's so exciting. My favorite is the Red Sox Stadium in Boston, right? Going to watch a Red Sox game that was amazing. We used to go to that stadium every time I went to Boston for work. So, shout out to my old employer there because we used to get the box and we were out there and the food was good. And,
Absolutely.
just to see the excitement, right? When it's happening, it's so different than when you watch it on
So
TV.
different. And now the stadiums, City Field, New York. I know this is not all about, everybody's not from New York, but City Field is one of the best stadiums ever.
Wow.
Baltimore, another phenomenal stadium. When I say phenomenal, you go into the stadium and there's so much activities. You
Mhm.
don't even, half the people that don't even go into
Watch
this.
the game, right?
They stay outside. There's so many different food venues. I
Yeah.
mean, they get you. There's interactive play, meaning you could play some bait. You could actually toss the ball around. Yeah, so I sit in the club. There's
Yeah.
clubs in the stadium, so you could
Yeah.
go. You don't even have to sit at your seat. You could go sit in one of the clubs in the stadium. There's just so many things to do. So it's not as limited as you think. And
Yeah.
then forget it. Go to a football game, tailgate, forget it. They don't even go into the. They
Some
don't even
people
go
just
in.
tailgate,
Yeah,
right?
they just tailgate. So there is so much going on. Don't
Yeah.
don't limit yourself to say I got to follow the sport.
Yeah.
But when you talked about something, being able to engage conversation.
Hmm.
Now, this is my secret. Shh, don't tell. Don't tell. One of the things now, sports is about people. People have drama, and there's always things going on in sports. The easiest way to learn about a little topic is watch Sports Center.
Hmm.
Sports Center comes on all day, every day.
Hmm.
They repeat Sports Center. So if you watch it at 8, it'll come back on the same thing at 9. Sit there one time, watch a whole Sports Center, write some stuff down, then go to your mate, say, hey, did you hear what happened to so-and-so today? Da, 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 da. They'll turn and look at you. How'd you know that? And shh, and just every once in a while watch it and have a conversation, because now that you now know an interest story in sports, now you're able to hold a conversation with your mate,
Yeah.
and now you're able to discuss, and guess what's happening? Connection.
Mhm.
And now you're connecting, now you're relating, now you might know, now you're learning a little bit about it. It's the easiest way. Yeah, and especially he just said that.
Big
One of
Ellie.
the things, if you watch the WNBA, love now, women's sports, it's a whole new genre. So many people are getting into women's sports now. And I think the WNBA is just seeing, they're really moving the spectrum in regards to becoming an elite league. And I'm so excited for them. But if you go to New York Liberty and you forget that, now they're playing, but they have Ellie the elephant there. She is by far one of the best mascots ever, ever. She will keep you entertained. You won't even see the game because Ellie, you're watching. Where's Ellie now? And Ellie has become her own star in that world. And it's things like that you now see at games. It's
Mhm.
not limited to the sport. It's you're watching human interest stories. You're watching people, talk and collaborate and just get to know each other. You're seeing people dance. I mean, that's another thing. They call the seniors. The seniors, they come on and they do the dance or in the middle. And it's just things that you see that you begin to enjoy and go, well, you know what? This is not that bad. This is not something that is so foreign because you don't like sports. Because guess what? Sports is not all about sports. It's about people. And if you
Yeah.
just get into the people aspect of it, I bet you can find some ways to connect with your mate.
Absolutely agree. So what else would you say would help relationships, not just, the intimate relationships, the significant other relationships, but even friendships, right? Because sometimes you find, particularly with women, right, you find it more where you may
Right.
have, some women who are really into sports and then other friends who are just not, right? Who just don't watch it. Like you said, your bestie, she
Right.
does not want to be bothered with the sports, right? So how do you kind of create, some similarities there, right? Or some connection between your friends around sports.
And again, I think that it's about understanding sports bring people together.
Mm.
So every once in a while, host a Sunday dinner
Hmm.
around a game. Now everybody's getting together, and now everybody's talking and laughing.
Hmm.
And now around the game, half the people aren't even watching the game. If you ever been to a Super Bowl party, who's watching the Super Bowl? Nobody. A few people
Well,
just
people
keeping
who
up
are
with the
serious
game. But
about it.
right, they're
They're
curious
betting
to
on
watch.
it.
Everybody's getting into, get together and have and you don't have to be involved with the game, but now bring people together, because if you bring people together with you and your mate and now friends, you're having fun.
Mhm.
Do a chili cook-off. We could do who brings the best chili to a game. Again, not about the game, but you're going to come to watch the game. So together, you're really eating the chili. Tailgating is an excellent way just to be able to say, hey, let's all get together. Maybe you're the one that's manning all the food and you're not even watching the game. You don't have to watch the game, because then people come out. One of the things we do for in tailgating, if you know anything about tailgating, people go into the stadium and they come back out the stadium. So maybe you're going to stay in the car the whole time, or by the food, and keep the food warm. So when the game is over, now you're warming the food back up to participate, because tailgating is about before and after the game. It's not even about the game. So the fun happens before and after. So I think you have to be more creative and open to not the game, but the idea of getting together. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Oh, I
And
love that.
one of the things that I did learn, some women want to, like you mentioned it, Tracy, you do want to get to understand the game, but you don't understand
Mhm.
the game enough, right? Or you don't watch enough to get to understand. One of the things I did recently, 2 years ago, this is my second year, is I joined a fantasy football league. Totally didn't think, I was like, this is going to be way over my head, but everybody in my family was into the fantasy football. And I said, you
Mhm.
know what? If I want to participate and have some conversation with them, let me learn fantasy football. Well, when I got into once a couple of games happened last year, I was hooked on the game, and it was a women's league. So I had my cousin in it, I had my daughter in it, and we did have to kind of recruit some guys in it, but it was at least five or six girl teams involved,
Mhm.
and almost all of them came back this year, and now we have a bigger league. So
Nice.
because you find that this is fun, and just to hear how people think, especially women, we think different than guys. So like my cousin, the way my cousin picked her teams and what about her teams was hysterical. Had nothing to do with football, but guess what? She was winning for a number of weeks, so it was the biggest joke. But again, it created conversation.
Yeah.
It created relationship. It created just getting together and laughing. And I
Mhm.
think that's what, sports has a way of bringing people together. So I wouldn't be the Debbie Downer all the time on sports. I would kind of, like watch it and learn it. Again, the Olympics, a perfect time to watch all kinds of different sports, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Do it as a family. One of the things I did during the Olympics, and I haven't now, I started collecting pins. And now I got, I said, hey, let's all plan to go on vacation to LA for 2028.
Mhm.
So now I'm trying to do a family vacation, because why not bring the family together? This summer, we all got together because we went to the WNBA All-Star Week, right? We spend more time talking,
Mhm.
fellowshipping, having fun, eating together, laughing by the pool. The game was only one day.
Yeah.
We spend more time together, learning about each other, talking to each other. It was about family bonding.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on sports and its ability to bring people together.
Yeah, I love that. I love that the camaraderie, right? To bring people together, to have fun. I love that you mentioned the All-Star games, right? I know I used to love going to the NBA All-Star games, right? But it's a way to get engaged with the sport without kind of like the seriousness around people being so serious about their one team, or right,
Yeah.
because they just bring more fun to it. So then you can learn a little bit about the sport. If you're not into it, you can learn a little bit about the sport and also see the fun behind the sport, and you get to see like different players, and you get to learn about different players at the All-Star game. So I like that you mentioned that, because it's just a good way for somebody to get engaged without feeling like they're with a group of people who are really seriously into the game and not engaged with them. It's a way for people to come together. So that's a good way to do
Absolutely.
it.
I think one of the highlights of my year was going to the WNBA All-Star week, and I did get the opportunity to interview some of the Olympians,
Yeah,
our gold medal winners,
yeah.
like Brittany Griner, Nafisha Collier, um, Brianna Stewart. I was able to interview all of those players, and for me, it was about the player now. It wasn't about the game. And my still favorite is and always will be Brittany Griner. And I had bought her book,
Hmm.
after her book came out about her coming home and her whole, issue with, when she was held captive in Russia.
Hmm.
And just reading the story and learning about Brittany Griner, it had nothing to do. She will always be somebody I just love, 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 because not because she played basketball, because of who she is.
Mm-hmm.
and what basketball did for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is now the human side of it. When you see these players at another level, you know, when you get to hear their situations, their stories, little fun fact, Dejanay Carrington, she was the most improved player in the WNBA this year. Her father was in what came to our wedding because Lamont and her father were almost were best friends, so to speak, in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Little fun fact, but now that's why we started following Dejanay, because it's like, well,
I
your
know her.
dad was at our wedding, so we had to follow you. So now watching her grow, it's not about the basketball, but it's about, wow, she was not even a thought back then, but look at
Yeah.
that. Who would think that my daughter, her daughter, his daughter is all together? They
Mm-hmm.
don't know they're connected, but now they're connected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing I think that you kind of get into sports for, is for the people of sport.
Yeah, it's funny
Learning
that you
from them.
mentioned that because I'm not like I don't have like a football team, right, that I follow. But I used to always I joke about it, but I I say I follow Russell Wilson when he was playing, right? Because he was the grandson of the dean of my college. So, they always talked him up. So I'm like, I have to follow now this kid because I had to hear about him the whole time I was in school, right? And they knew that he was going to be famous. They knew that he was going to go to the NFL. They knew all of this, so they always talked him up,
Yeah.
everything about football. So I'm like, okay, when he starts playing, I'm going to follow this kid because I had to hear about him the whole time I was in school.
Had
So
to hear
sometimes
about
it's
them.
not even about, like you said, it's not really about the sport itself. It's about the people.
About the people.
I started watching basketball during, of course, the Michael Jordan times because, just the incredible way this man used to play basketball. I was like, I couldn't keep my eyes off of him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I used to see the highlights and I'm like, I gotta watch basketball. I gotta learn about
That's right.
basketball. And it was all behind Michael Jordan. And then my team actually became the Knicks out of that whole thing. But it was really all about Michael Jordan because I
Yeah.
just could not believe, the way this man played the game, and just his athleticism was absolutely amazing. And the things that he could do in basketball, I was like, this man is incredible. So it made me love basketball.
Made you love basketball. You
Yeah.
know, I didn't know at the time. My love of sports started when I was 9 years
Mm-hmm.
old, and I started watching baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball was a big thing that came on TV. I fell in love with the New York Yankees because
Mm-hmm.
back then that you could turn on Channel 11 and watch the New York Yankees. So I fell in love with the New York Yankees and fell in love with Reggie Jackson. Okay, that was it. And I was a math geek, so I would literally be taking the scores down and calculating their batting average and all that crazy stuff. That was
Mm-hmm.
me. Did not understand why, but until I got when I got older, I finally made the connection. I fell in love with sports because that's when my mother and father divorced.
Mm-hmm.
I was so lonely. I was so broken. I was so hurt
Mm-hmm.
that I threw myself as a kid into baseball.
Wow.
And that's how I kept the sanity of, or pushed out the pain, or pushed out the turmoil that the divorce was for me.
Yeah.
Didn't understand it. Never until I was older. I said, oh my God, that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Sports became a safe place for me. It,
Yeah.
it didn't have nothing to do with me. I could focus my attention on this thing called baseball, and then found a person to kind of put my attention to. And now I wasn't as lonely. Now I wasn't as hurt. Now I wasn't as broken
Yeah.
because I was experiencing the divorce in my family. So again, sports for me has become a savior.
Mm-hmm.
It has become a way to bond. For that matter, my daughter her career is now in sports, and she sees it from the whole other side. So she's about the creating of the teams, creating of the league. She's the one back there. When you see things on Instagram, when you things that's what she's doing to get the word out that
Mm-hmm.
everybody should watch women's sports. To
Mm-hmm.
watch her and Ari Chambers, like real from their infancy, loving sports, and now being a voice for women, being a voice for this sport, being,
Mhm.
putting people that never got any attention on, giving them attention. Nobody knew about Dejanay Carrington. Nobody knew about Derek Hanby. They didn't know about all these players, but though, the Aries of the world that put her mic in front of their face and said, hey, tell us about yourself.
Mhm.
Ashley back there saying, let me do a human interest story so you can understand who these players are. Watching it from them building this league, to me, is now just fascinating. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And these are people that are extraordinary in their sport, but they're still people. They're moms, they're wives, they're daughters.
Mhm.
And I think when you get into the human interest of anybody, it should bring it brings people together. So again,
Yeah. Yeah, and I have to like kind of piggyback off of that when it comes to I'm a basketball fan, but of course I was on the Golden State train. I can't lie because I love me some Steph Curry, and I love his story too, his
yeah,
just background story and just his fight, right? You know, he struggled, he was injured, and you know just how he worked so hard to bring himself back. And I also I like LeBron from a different perspective. So if I didn't like LeBron playing basketball, but when I hear the human interest story behind LeBron, you know, his marriage for one, his
yeah,
philanthropy number two, right? You know, and then I had an opportunity to meet a young lady who had a close encounter with him and said he was one of the best people that she has ever and she's always in a room with, you know, some athletes and entertainers and
hmm
that
hmm
out of all the people that she has met, LeBron was one of the nicest, most humble and human people, right? That she has ever met. That he met her as if, you know, he was not LeBron James, just as if it
right,
was just two people, because they were, right? Just
yeah,
two people having an interaction. She said he was one of the best people that she's ever
yeah.
met out of all the people that
Out
she's
of all the people, and I think that was in 2019,
mm-hmm.
right before COVID. We went to the WNBA and All-Star Week in Las Vegas. And in comparison to what we went to, this summer and back then, I mean, there was nobody in the stands. There was seats everywhere. You could pick
Mm-hmm.
your seat you want to be at. Their interactive place. You could walk around 10 times and see everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what I remember from that so vividly was that Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna came in. And when
Mm-hmm.
they came in, everybody stopped. The love he had for the game at that
Mm-hmm.
level, and watching him bring his daughter, he so wanted his daughter to meet and get to know all of these players, but people never paid attention to,
Yeah.
as opposed to him. And he was so sincere. And every player that came to him, he stood up with his daughter and talked to them.
Yeah.
And they met Gianna and they talked and when you watch that, and you watched a dad, at that point, he was a dad helping his daughter.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, fall in love with somebody and to hear what happened to him after it, talk about girl dad. He
Yeah.
was that person. And you don't get, that's what I'm talking about. Sports brings out the humanity of people.
Yeah.
So I think as
When you
you,
when you start to watch them, right? Because you mentioned him too. Like he was one of the most intelligent
woo,
basketball players that you could listen to, and one of the most eloquent speakers too. Like he was a motivator. Like if you go back and you kind of look at
yes,
some of the speeches that he gave, and they do like a lot of shorts on some of his speeches now, and they've got quotes after him. But what an amazing young
what
man,
an
right? And
amazing,
another person who just worked so hard. Like he was really serious about his craft and he worked really hard at it. He had
so serious.
such drive. So, you know, when you start to look at the players from that perspective, when you start to see the human side of them, and really, if you're a person who wants something, anything in your life, it doesn't have to be sports, but when you look at players, right, because they're people that are already in the forefront, but when you look at their story and you hear what it took for them to get there, you know, hopefully it'll help motivate you to drive you in the direction that you want to go into, whatever
Yes.
that is, whatever facet of your life. But I always look at the Kobe's and the Curry's and the LeBrons of the world and say, you know what? If they could overcome these obstacles that they've gone through in their lives. I can do the
Yeah,
same thing in mine
you can do
in a
the same
different,
thing.
in a different arena, right? But
Mm,
it's just to hear that story to help drive you to another level. So I hope
absolutely.
that everybody out there, you will, take a look at sports, whatever sport that is, and join in the fun of it all and start to look
Yes.
at, not just the sport itself, but the players as well, to just get into the games. So
Get
we
into
love
the
you all
game.
out there. We thank you for joining us here on Fem Talk. Come back next week, and don't forget to get your book,
Yes.
Radical Standard.